Hi everybody, it's Mr. Alqamoussi. Today we're going to be introducing a thinking and writing strategy called CER. You may recognize this name from your language arts classes or other content area classes, but in this video I'd like to show you that CER is actually more than just a school or academic strategy, but a life strategy. First and foremost, what is CER? CER is an acronym that stands for a three-step reasoning process. The first step to this reasoning strategy is stating the claim. The second step is providing evidence to defend the claim. And the third is reasoning about your argument by elaborating on the evidence to prove the claim. So let's look at an everyday example. Take a look at this seemingly common conversation that can occur in a classroom setting. On the left, we have a student trying to ask their teacher if he can go to the bathroom, and on the right, the teacher is not convinced by this request. Mister, can I go to the bathroom? No. Why? Because you're pretending to go so that you can skip class. No, I'm not. I just heard you tell your friend you were bored and can't wait to skip. Please return to your seat. Now, there is a reason that the teacher's argument is convincing, and it's not just that he is saying no, but in particular, the teacher has constructed his line of reasoning so that it's very difficult to argue with him. First, the teacher states his claim by answering the question, then explains why he has chosen to deny the student's request to go to the bathroom. And when the student denies the evidence, the teacher further elaborates on his evidence, thus putting the student in a position where there's not much he can argue about. Let's look at another example. In this case, two girls are arguing about an incident that happened earlier in the day. The girl on the left is trying to make it very clear that the bullying from the girl on the right needs to stop. I know you've been talking about me. No, I wasn't. You were. Taylor and Sarah told me. They're lying. They never lie. They're my best friends and I trust them. Stop talking about me. Like the previous example, the girl on the left, whether knowing it or not, is using CER to convince her friend on the right to stop talking about her. First, she states her claim by explaining what is the problem. Then when that claim is denied, she provides evidence, which is her friends, Taylor and Sarah. And when that evidence is denied, she offers pretty convincing reasoning for why she believes her friends, and therefore for why her claim is true. Now, CER has been given a lot of names in the academic world to describe this line of reasoning. And in most cases, it's used in argumentative writing. But the point here is that CER is not just about writing. In fact, virtually any subject, whether in school or out of school, can be argued with CER. CER is a line of reasoning, not necessarily a subject for a classroom. And most important, a lot of students are misled to think that CER is a strategy for argumentative writing. And while it is a great tool for argumentative writing, it is actually in essence not about writing at all. It's a form of thinking. It's a line of reasoning. It's a way to structure how to present what you believe or what you think about it. Lawyers, judges, and even children, without realizing it, use CER to get their point across. Let's take an example outside of language arts. Looking at this math problem, CER would be a great tool to convince someone what is the value of x. First, let's write out the equation as a word problem. This equation is basically saying that the value of x is a number that, if added to 3, would equal 10. And the mathematical way to solve this problem is by showing your work and finding that in this particular equation, x would have to equal 7. But there is another way. We can also resort to words to explain our reasoning for why x would equal 7. For example, we could say x that must equal 7. Because if 3 is subtracted from both sides, then 10 minus 3 would equal 7. And since 7 plus 3 equals 10, in other words, by checking our work, we find that 7 plus 3 equals 10, then x must equal 7. And as you can see in this very simple explanation, CER is employed to provide the line of reasoning that argues for the correct answer. And we can use this not just in math, But in just about any other subject, take this example. Here is a picture from a social studies class portraying the world-famous image of the Boston Massacre. The question could be, according to this picture, according to this etching, who is at fault for the Boston Massacre? And if you had to answer this question, you could simply employ the CER strategy, and you'd have a very reasonable response. According to this image, the British are responsible. That's your claim. Your evidence? Well, they're firing into an unarmed crowd and their general is commanding it. And what's the reasoning? Because the crowd is unarmed, they were clearly targeted, and therefore you could conclude that the British are the oppressors, which in fact was exactly what was portrayed in the Boston Massacre etching. And here's another example. This one isn't even academic. Take a look at this pattern of colored bars. What would be the next bar color in the sequence? CER would be a perfect strategy to use to explain this response. The next color bar would have to be green. That's your claim. The evidence, it's the 8th bar, and so far every even number bar has been green. The reasoning? Well, since the pattern has remained the same so far, there's no reason to think it will be different now. The 8th bar is even numbered, so it will also have to be green. CER is a strategy that you might hear a lot about in school, but I hope this video has come to show you that it's actually an intrinsic line of reasoning that we use in our day-to-day to explain just about anything. In addition to employing it in your language arts and other academic classes, realize that this is just a great proven strategy as a form of thinking to say what you want to say and make it clear and understandable to your listeners or to your audience. Thank you for watching.